ask me why, I've got nothing to say. I've been seeing in black and white, having trouble telling wrong.
My name is Katie. This is my van. I have been in it for 2 years full time. It's a 2016 Mercedes Sprinter, 144-inch wheelbase, high roof, and take a look. Welcome to the van. This is a DIY Sprinter build. I built it out with my previous partner with the help of some family and some friends. We wanted to go the shorter wheelbase to be able to be more compact. I've parallel parked it in downtown Chicago. I can take it off-roading. It's a really nice size, but it's definitely big enough for one person, even more so for two. So this is the kitchen. It's pretty straightforward. You know, we have the butcher block countertop. Those measurements were really based on the appliances within there. So with the sink, I went for a deeper sink so that I could stack dishes up higher if I wanted, but it still is pretty compact. The hose is, you know, you can retract it. It's got a spray on it, and there's a weight on the bottom, so that's gonna hang down now, part of having a DIY, but I have 10 gallons of water in the back for the sink, and then I carry 7 gallons of fresh water. In the sink, it drains down to a 5-gallon gray water, so I kind of have to be careful when looking at that. We really thought about having a non-stationary stove. Having counter space, it's one thing that I wish I had more of, and I'm always glad that I have a stationary stove, but that was part of the discussion. So I do have, it's called a Wedgwood Atwood. I believe that Dometic bought it out now, so I mean, you can find this stove with different printing and labeling on it. There's like 4 or 5 versions of it. So it's a 2-burner, it's bigger and smaller. It's connected to a propane tank in the back. And I have it's about 0.6 gallons of propane, and that lasts me anywhere from a month to 4 months, depending on if I'm doing hot or cold coffee, hot or cold cooking. So going up to the upper cabinets, I have kind of a bookshelf with some games. I really try to pack these tight because that keeps things from falling down. So I chose a couple books that I really wanted to keep, plus some, like one of the companies that I work for published a book, so I have that. This is really toiletries. I have some loose stuff, but I also have a basket so I can pull that out and get things in and out as I want. So we have the spice racks. So over time, I've kind of collected and bought the spices that I use regularly, and all uniform spices. I do a lot of cooking based on recipes, and one of the people that I follow a lot on, just like a love shout out really quickly, is Fresh Off the Grid, because they do car camping and backpacking recipes. So they use a lot of the same spices. Having these like staple 12 or whatever, it allows you to really just do all the things that I want to do. So I wanted a stand-up fridge that's front facing. I really wanted it to feel homey so that I could open it up, have it open, and be able to get in and out if I want. This is a Novacool R3800. I've seen a couple of them. I think they're not as common anymore, but 2 years ago it was really what was kind of around. It's got a latch that opens up, and the hardware is reversible, so you can open it up on either side based on what you want. So like I said earlier, I did build the van out with an additional person traveling in it with me for a while. The storage is really built for 2 people. That's why we have 2 sets of overhead cabinets, was to be able to accommodate that. At the time, it was really nice. Each of us got a bottom drawer and 2 of the top ones. Now I get all of them. So it's a really good excuse to carry extra clothes, carry extra gear. I am not as stuck with picking things out for seasons, which is really nice. So upper cabinets, I have them kind of organized. I've got a lot of shirts and sweaters in this way. I've got jeans and pants here. I'll go through each of them. One of the things for me being on the road full time is that I do still attend like weddings, birthday parties. So it's not just that, you know, the first year on the road I was really in hiking gear, sweats, kind of loose cotton clothing a lot. Now that I'm attending gatherings, I'm doing more business stuff, I'm working from the road, I do have to have more of a variety. So I have things a little bit coordinated in here. Once again, a lot of clothing, probably more than what you'll see for a lot of people, but shirts, flannels, pretty much anything from being able to go out to a nice dinner or drinks at a bar to being able to, you know, hike or camp for 3 days. So for heating and cooling, I don't have much. I have more than a lot of people, but I think still pretty minimally. When I bought the van, it came with a floor heater. So underneath my cabinets, underneath the toe kicks of the kitchen, there are a couple different ventilation pieces that I can run the heater and the cooler while the car is running, plus 30 minutes once I turn it off. which is really helpful because if I'm parking somewhere for the night and I'm driving there, I can basically crank the heater and I can leave it running for a while, and then it heats up the whole van. And as long as I don't open my doors very much, then it stays heated or cooled. It also has AC. I do have a fan, which is really helpful for ventilation. I also have these sliders. I have 3 of them. And then on my slider door, I do have a T-vent, which is basically a window that the bottoms pop out. So by opening different pieces of the van and pulling air out with the fan, that pulls basically a breeze throughout the whole thing to continue ventilation. So that is really helpful with cooling. I do have a heater buddy, one of those small propane tanks that are handheld. They take the green Coleman propanes. Those are really nice. I don't use them that often, but in days where it's miserably cold and it's under 10 degrees and I can't feel my fingers, it's really nice. So the bed is a little bit wider than a queen, but shorter than a queen. It works really well for 2 people or for 1. I've never had a problem with fitting. We did put this in originally. My ex was a little bit taller, so having a little bit of foot space for him was really helpful. Sheets and kind of bedding can be a little bit challenging because of that, but it's honestly fine. I have 2 3-inch toppers, which has been perfect for me. I went a lot back and forth on like, do I do an IKEA mattress? Do I buy a spring mattress? And I did the 2 mattress toppers from Costco. One is gel and one is memory foam. One of the cool things about it is that one of them is seasonal, so I can flip it and it has a cooling feature versus a heating feature. I will be very honest and say that I've never flipped it, but to have the ability to do that is just nice. And it's super comfortable. It's my favorite bed I've ever owned, and I always prefer to sleep in it versus, you know, hotel, Airbnb. If somebody offers me a guest room, I always choose to sleep in this. I have a Thetford porta potty. It's on the smaller side, but it is honestly works fine for me. In the 144s, it's really hard to fit a compostable toilet. People do it, but it wasn't on my top priority list. I'm camping a lot. I don't do as much stealthing, so it's just really not, I don't need to always be able to go to the bathroom in my vehicle, if that is, depending on where I'm parking. Behind it, I have some window covers, a hammock. I keep my camping chairs back there. They're pretty compact, so that's just kind of another hidden space. The other thing that lives here is my window covers. So one of the other things that helps with heating and cooling is that I have these window covers. They're canvas on the outside with 2 layers of Reflectix on the inside. And it's pretty amazing how much that makes a difference with having them up. It helps in the summertime keep heat out, and then in the wintertime keep heat in. I do have an outdoor shower. Between the 2, they're a little bit more on like the camping side of things, I think, rather than them being you know, a home bathroom. But like I said, I'm really outside most of the time, so it has never really been a problem for me. So a lot of people do, I've started to see more pocket doors. I've seen Velcros, zippers, anything to kind of keep privacy in the front. Even though I don't stealth that much, sometimes even just going into someplace for a while when I leave my van, I obviously like to cover everything up. So I knew I wanted a curtain. We ended up installing this rod. It's really just, it's a copper rod from Home Depot that we cut. And we use these, like, I think that they're just actual house curtain pieces that we put in to install this. And then this is a Pico's Pendleton curtain. It's one of my favorite things of the van. I get asked a lot about it. I don't think they specifically make this design anymore, but they do have some, and it's really thick. So not only does it keep the light in and out, it really helps with heating as well. And I just got Bed Bath & Beyond shower curtain hooks for the curtain up top. I try to keep things pretty tidy. I really don't like to have things out and about. So I do have a little shoe basket here that I shove everything into. It does collect dirt, but you just clean it out underneath. Right now I have a bunch of firewood in the van. I've been camping with a bunch of people, and it was raining in the last couple days, so I just basically took the firewood from under the car and put it in here. Both of the seats swivel, which is super helpful. I don't have a table in here, and I do work remotely full time, sometimes more, so having a place to be able to sit that's not just the bed or on the floor is really helpful. I also do have a matching to this butcher block of the countertop. I have a 2-foot by 2-foot table that I can put on a pedestal, which is really helpful. So if I can swivel these, I can put that up. If I'm feeling fancy, maybe I'll do dinner, but not very often. So looking more up front, there's a couple just random things. I've got a stove in case I ever run out of propane up there. There's the dry food compartment as well. I have 2 more little shelves up here. I decided not to do the headliner shelf. At times it would be really nice to have that, but now that I'm in here by myself, I honestly have so much storage, more than I know what to do with. So this is really just for, you know, Cards Against Humanity apparently in a Polaroid, but it's nice to have the extra space. One of the things that I do collect when I'm driving around is I collect patches. I did all 50 states in the first year with my ex. We really only planned on doing it for a year, and then I got remote work. And when we split and I decided I wanted to keep the van, buy it out, and continue to travel, it's just been a really nice memory of what we did in the first year, all the places we went, and a good collector to just continue. So whether it's in national park, a state park, or just an excuse in a small town when I'm feeling really just lazy, it's an excuse to get out, look at shops, get into the town, and kind of just see where I am. This is the rear. There's a lot of space. It goes all the way to the front of the van where those lower cabinets, those dresser drawers under my bed are. Looking at the electrical system first, I have a massive battery bank and electrical system. That was all with intention. I kind of get made fun of sometimes for it, but I have four 165 amp hour batteries. I had a really large inverter. I wanted to be able to run as much as I could on it, and I have 3 100-watt solar panels on the roof as well. Another reason for that is going to Alaska and some of the other places where I thought I might be in snow or continued cloudy weather. I wanted to be off grid for at least 5 days and not even have to think twice about my energy. And to my best of my knowledge, I've really never had to do that. So I hear a lot of people stress out about power, or like I have to drive and hook my battery up to my alternator to have power, and I've never even had to think about it. So I can kind of read what I'm pulling in and how much I store up here. I checked it a lot at the beginning, and now I honestly I trust what I've done. We've got the commander down here, all the fuses back there, everything is wired so that if I ever have issues, I can get into that and I can kind of look at it. We also did shore power. I've never used that, but just to have the ability to do that if I ever wanted to, like, go stay on a property for a while amount of time or something like that, I have that option, which is really nice. Looking at exterior, some of its accessories, some of its stock, it did come with a backup camera, which is super nice. I'm comfortable with the car now. I can park, I can reverse, and I kind of can see things pretty well. I have truck windows on the side, which help me see far behind me, but it really is nice for peace of mind, especially in like busy parking lots and stuff. We have the Illuminous ladder. We originally bought it because I was really worried about cleaning solar and keeping that really nice and neat up there. I didn't want to ever lose power because of that. I have the road shower up top, and it holds, I think, 5 gallons of water, and I can get, 1 or 2 showers out of it. I do have to use a bike pump to pressurize it, so quite frankly I don't use it as much as I should for having it, but it's nice to just have the option. I've had a couple of times where I haven't had a shower in a really long time, and it comes in handy at that point. So I replaced the stock tires, and I now have the BF Goodrich All-Terrain KO2s. This van is not a 4x4. It has a extra suspension. We put in a new suspension system, so that really helps with the rocking on back roads. But for the most part, I didn't think it was worth it to spend the extra money. As far as the build goes, for me, it's so heavy, and especially with the upper cabinets, I figured that anywhere I was going to take my car on a back road, these tires are going to get me there just as much as 4x4, and I'm not going to be doing anything crazy enough because of the build on the inside. So those have been a really big game changer for me, and this is my second pair. I really stand by them. I think that they're well worth the money, and they make a huge difference with crawling, especially up hills, down hills, rocks. I avoid sand and snow, but other than that, I pretty much, if I see a road, I know I can go down it without mud, sand, and snow. These things get me pretty much everywhere. This is a 2016 Mercedes Sprinter. I did buy new. I looked for vehicles online for about a year before I actually purchased anything. Really heavily considered the used route, but I really wanted this model, and when I started to look at used Sprinters versus new, there's some years in there that you want to avoid while they're figuring out the emissions, as well as price difference, because they do hold their value. It honestly didn't make sense to buy used. I didn't want to go too old, and so when I was thinking about 2014 or 2015, the depreciation was really not that much. So I decided to just kind of eat that part of it and buy new. I've never regretted it. I've always been really grateful that I've had this car since the beginning. I know where every single piece of service that I've ever had has been, you know, if it's been at a dealer or with a private mechanic. And it's just allowed me to really maintain high care of the car. I trust my engine. I've never had a single piece of unscheduled maintenance in the last 3 years. And I've been pretty grateful, but I do think some of that is because of care, how I drive the car, where I take it, and how frequently I make sure things are tuned in. So thank you for watching. Thank you for touring. If you want to follow along, I am online at So We Bought a Van on Instagram. That's just at So We Bought a Van. I'm also So We Bought a Van on Facebook. I have a website, soweboughtavan.com, and that has some different information about the build, product links if you're interested in anything that you saw throughout the van, general information on kind of some travels that I've done, and I'd love for you to follow along.